Uh, I'm from IoT Analytics, principal consultant, principal analyst focused on IoT hardware components, connectivity, and security. Today's agenda, we're going to talk about first the status of what is global IoT, where it is right now, and the LPWAN connections in the global IoT connections. And one of the unique trends that we are seeing in the market right now is the competition to collaboration among LPWAN vendors. And finally, we're going to talk about the fusion of LPWAN and satellite. So if you look at right now the IoT connection market, we just crossed 14 billion IoT devices in 2022. And we expect that these devices will reach to 30 billion by 2027. However, within these connections range from Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, cellular, we have LPWAN technologies which will contribute to 10% of these 30 billion devices by 2027. It is really interesting to see the global IoT connectivity. However, to understand the LoRaWAN opportunities, we should look more into the LPWAN connection closely. So if you look at the global LPWAN connection, which is supposed to be crossed by 1 billion by 2023, and NB-IoT leads the global LPWAN connection by 52% currently. However, this is not exactly the clear picture. It doesn't give the clear picture because when, as an analyst, I talk about global, I basically take the shipment or connections from all over the world and collaborate it and make it a global. But it clearly gives a picture that NB-IoT is everywhere out of the world, but which is not true. NB-IoT is dominantly in China, and it is 90% in China. So let's look into the China market first, and then the rest of the market first to understand the clear bifurcation of LPWAN technologies. So if you look at the China market, China contributes 60% of the global LPWAN connection, where 79% contributed by the NB-IoT. There's an interesting trend from China that China doesn't have LTE-M. And then China is adopting a new technology called Cat1 bis. Cat1 bis is not an LPWAN technology, it's a 4G category. However, that technology, Cat1 bis, is competing right now with LTE-M globally as well. And for China, they doesn't have LTE-M, so they are adopting Cat1 bis. So these 4G technology started competing with an LPWAN technology. It's an interesting trend. So if you look at the rest of the world market, so the LoRaWAN dominated the LPWAN connection outside the world, and what we are seeing right now, LoRaWAN has been dominant over the period of time. And it's continuing to dominate. However, what we are seeing, there is a rise in cellular LTE-M globally. And there is not much adoption of NB-IoT globally. However, when we continue to collaborate the LTE-M and NB-IoT together, the cellular LPWAN may cross LoRaWAN by 2023. Now what we understand is the collaboration and from competition to collaboration that is happening in the LPWAN industry. And we started to see this from the acquisition of Semtech acquiring Sierra Wireless. And that was, I would say, initiation. And then we started to see a multiple partnership and collaboration among the LPWAN vendors. However, this was not limited to the partnership and collaboration on paper. We started to see the use cases. We started to see the deployments. And one of the interesting deployments that happened in Japan from Soracom, combining LTE-M and Sigfox. And it is interesting to see the scale was 1 million devices. And it was an interesting solution. Many of them say blended network, someone say convergence, someone say cooperation. But the thing is, they started to have a collaboration among LPWAN vendors, and we started to see. As I said, this is not one-off. However, we are not sure this trend is going to continue or it's going to continue on a specific application. But we are seeing the expansion on a device side as well. We are seeing that Soracom and Unibus has collaboratively developed a device which is going to use LTE-M and Sigfox technology. So we need to see, it's still early to say that this is a trend that is going to dominate the market or it's a trend that's going to be very niche. But still, this is a trend, and it's a good sign for the LPWAN community where the vendors are collaborating and deploying a solution collaboratively. Now we want to understand the fusion of LPWAN technology and satellite. So satellite has been there for years now. It's not a new technology. The only thing is that it was very expensive and there were no certain use cases, and especially the ROI was not certainly good. However, when you have a fusion of LPWAN technology and a satellite technology, you get the best of the both of the worlds, and you eliminate the drawbacks of each other's. There are different types of devices. There are different types of architecture. Let's quickly understand what are types of devices. There are indirect access mode. Basically, you have a gateway which has a capability to send the data from terrestrial networks and also from to satellite network. And then you have a direct access mode when you have a devices which can directly communicate to the satellite. And then you have a standalone mode and a hybrid mode. And standalone mode is basically you have the cluster of IoT devices and a gateway communicating to the satellite, and there is no terrestrial network connectivity. However, in the hybrid mode, you have a terrestrial network connectivity available. And it's both for direct and indirect. Interestingly, the mobility use cases are meant for more in the hybrid, where you switch from a cellular to a satellite depending upon where you are going. Now coming to the interesting the case studies, or we have seen the trend here that LR1120 is no doubt has been one of the most adopted LoRa chipsets, which has been used also in the LoRaWAN technology, also in the satellite technology because of the multi-mode capability. And we have seen from Lacuna Space adopting this chipset technology for using direct-to-satellite connectivity. One of the case studies is interesting to understand from the Lacuna Space, that the water monitoring system. And it is interesting to see the problem was South Pacific communities have the vulnerability or scarcity of the water, and emergency supply was very difficult. And specifically within the time period, it's very difficult to transport the water to a certain location. However, the solution gives actually predetermines the results before even the waters get finished, and it helps the people to to supply the waters at the right time. And we have seen the other deployment from other companies like Swarm, which is acquired by SpaceX. Tile was used a lot. We have also seen the deployment of Swarm M138 modem. However, recently we get news, as you all know, that Swarm stopped the device shipping of the devices, and we are looking into that, what is happening. We want to keep you updated what's happening from that side. But one of the coolest technology, I would say, is Swarm using a VHF rather than any L-band or S-band, and that is one of the key features from the Swarm technologies. If you look at the case studies from the Swarm technologies, it's one of them which I found very interesting, because it doesn't talk about only the Swarm technologies progress, but it's talk about one of the important things called partnership and collaboration. So Swarm technology is not the one who is leading these case studies. Is basically OptiWay is leading the case study, and they're using the Swarm technologies to lead it. However, they are the ones who are basically doing the maximum work of deployment, and it's very interesting because the results are immensely good, because you use existing technology, and how you use it, it makes it great. This slide I actually added yesterday after the announcement and everything. I used to see that the legacy players are actually coming up a lot, and they are not behind anymore. They are coming up. They were kind of silent from few years, let's say, but now we are seeing that legacy players are also coming up. They're deploying the modules, they're deploying the solution. They have a holistic approach to see the market. They're not just providing focus on the hardware, they're not focusing on the application. They're looking into end-to-end solution. So I would say look out for these legacy players who are coming into the market. Interestingly, there is another trend. What we can talk about is the 3GPP NTN-based LPWAN and satellite connectivity. This is very interesting to see now, the cellular player coming into the picture now. right? And with 3GPP NTN technology in release 17, now the cellular capability of the chipset has to add the connectivity for NTN. And Sony Semiconductor Alter 1350 is one of the first chipset to have a dual mode LPWA, means NB-IoT and LTM. On top of that, they have NTN capability. And just after the announcement, the Sierra Wireless, Telit, and Fibercom, all three announced they are going a module for that. Let's say the modules will come around the next year for the sample size, but we can see the deployment happening by the next year. Interestingly, we have another announcement from Qualcomm and Skylo partnering together to deploy geo-based chipsets, which is, and Qualcomm is deploying, one is from the mobility side, which has dual mode, and one is only for the NB-IoT side of it. And it's very interesting that Qualcomm also using its Aware platform to bind with these chipset. So basically, you will have an application layer from Qualcomm itself to have asset tracking solutions. Just after the announcement, Simcom, Quictel, and Meg, all three of them announced the use of this chipset in their modules, and most of the modules will be able to launch by next year. So what we have understood right now, this is not a forecast. I would definitely call it out. It's not a forecast. It's a hope for the satellite market. It's an optimum level of hope that we can say that, because to be a forecast, there are a lot of things that need to go right, and there are a lot of things that we need to work on. And the things that we need to work on is we need to have a clear message for the vendors, from vendors to the use cases and solution. What you are solving the problem, what is the problem, how you are solving that problem, and that is very important for the consumers to understand, because one of the biggest pain points that I have understood that consumers don't understand the technology. It is very difficult to convince them to understand and to make them understand about technology, and it's also. And that's why it's also important to educate them, raise awareness about the technology. Potentially, we see the projected score goes to 22 million. However, this includes also 3GPP NTN, which is the maximum capability of opportunity to sell the modules. Let's say, for example, that the LPWAN chipset, which is based on NB-IoT and LTM from Alter, had already sold 3 million of ALT1250, which is its previous generation. So they have a capability to sell 3 million one chipset. Even if in World 350 have shipped just equal as that, we have 3 million satellite-capable chipset in the market. Even 30% is get connected. The whole the forecast that we are saying will not take time to get reality. The entry of cellular module and chipset player is interesting to the satellite market. It's going to create competition. However, it's good for the market right now because emerging market required competition. Hybrid satellite terrestrial connectivity is on the rise, and the partnership and the collaboration is the way forward. Thank you, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask me.